Okay, I'm here with Canadian strawweight fighter
Chareunvong,
who just had her 4th amateur win at Real MMA last Friday. It was a really exciting fight for me to watch, and it was a pretty decisive victory for you, I felt like. What were your thoughts on that fight, and how did you feel like going into that fight?
Going into that fight, I haven't fought in a year, so it was very, very overwhelming. I felt, if anything, over-prepared, and I was just, if anything, I was really happy to finally have a fight, and from the fight, I completely dominated.
You did.
I tried to still keep my emotions kind of low and just try to still fight smart, but I felt overloaded, if anything, with energy, and just I couldn't wait to fight. So I think from my performance, it really showed that I really needed to have a fight fast.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. How did you get started in fighting? Like, did you start with Muay Thai and then go into MMA, or what was your journey?
I started in fighting 2008. I actually started with weight loss. I started with Muay Thai. I was 180 pounds. I started with weight loss, and I just kind of did it just because I was actually working in the film and television world and doing makeup and special effects off set. I kind of ate a lot, and you're always on set, you're always eating, and I gained weight recklessly, but there's a fine line saying I was overweight because I am taller. I just wasn't an athlete that I am now, and so I started Muay Thai just as a weight loss thing, and 2012 is when I decided to take it further, and I had my first Muay Thai fight. I ended up fighting in the nationals.
Wow.
And I had a tournament, so I fought 3 fights, and I ended up winning that tournament with only 2 months of fight training. So
wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's what started my fighting career, if anything. So
Okay.
2012.
Okay. And on that journey, like, did you feel like you were just growing more and more confident with every fight that you had? Like, how often, like, how many times a year were you fighting?
So when I first did that tournament, it was always, it's been kind of like it's been a hard journey when I first started in Canada, because there's not much of a big amateur background, and there's not enough support. And when I first started, when I wanted to fight, you have to pay a lot. A lot of it comes out of your pocket, and a lot of the times the people around you are like, why do you want to do this? Like, why do you want to fight? You're a pretty girl, you know, you have a great career. I had a good career doing makeup, and a lot of people didn't want me to do it, and kept saying I shouldn't because I wasn't prepared, I wasn't ready. So I kept on ignoring those people, and I found the people that would say yes. I found the people that believed in me, and then when I did that, everything just started kind of like the path of least resistance when I found the right people to be around me. So.
Okay. And were some of those people like coaches, or?
Yeah. You know what? Some of the coaches. One of the coaches that first said yes to me about the nationals was just this one coach that I trained with for like not even a month.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just asked him, because I actually did a jiu-jitsu tournament first.
Okay.
Before the nationals, and then I asked one of that Muay Thai fighter that I trained with, Thomas, and I asked him, I was like, hey, is there ever Muay Thai tournaments? And he's like, yeah, the nationals is in like a month or 2. Do you want to do that? And I was like, yeah, are you gonna let me? And he's just like, yeah, why not? He's like, I think anyone should fight, like, why not? And so he was the only one who said yes. And when I first did Muay Thai, I got told no when I did this whole fighter camp, and I did this whole fighter training camp, and they kind of assess if you're ready to be a fighter, and I did it, and they're like, oh no, you can't fight. And I said, I'm going to find someone who's going to let me, and I did.
Okay. What was it inside of you that kind of like drove you to want to go to that next level, do you think?
You know what, when I started doing everything for weight loss, you kind of get to this point where you're disciplined, and you get to that point where you've lost the weight. What do I do next? Like, you've lost the weight, you kind of feel good about your body, and you're like, oh, what else can I do? What else can I challenge myself with? And I don't know, the fighting kind of just, it sparked my curiosity, and I didn't want, I guess people telling me not to do it and saying no kind of was just like, no, I want to do it. Like, they're doing it, why can't I? And when I did it, and even though I was always the underdog, I was passionate about it. Everything that I do, I'm very disciplined and passionate, and I see what has to be done, and I just kind of went with it. And I guess because everybody kept telling me not to do it, it kind of, like a kid, you kind of get curious and you want to do it.
Yeah,
and,
like reverse psychology.
Yeah, pretty much. Everybody just kept saying no, and I was like, I'm going to prove them wrong. And then, yeah, I would do it.
That's awesome. So in your fighting background, what have you studied so far? Like, what styles have you studied?
So first I started, like, my first tournament was jiu-jitsu, but I first started off with Muay Thai, then competed in jiu-jitsu, competed in Muay Thai. I started teaching like a women's class in Toronto a while ago at Extreme Couture, and when I started teaching, you kind of you forget about yourself because you're teaching, and you have to take care of other people. And I loved it. I loved teaching because you get to empower a lot of other people as well. I loved empowering women and showing them what got me to where I was. But I felt like I still had to pursue something. And there was this big uproar with WMMA. And because I did jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, I wanted to kind of mix it together. And so because I wanted to see if I would stand with women that were doing MMA. When you're in Canada, your perception of fighting is really, really small. You kind of see UFC and you're like, oh wow, like I wonder if I could stand up to it. So I had to come to Vegas. I wanted to come to the mecca of where MMA was to see if I should continue pursuing it or if I should just continue teaching and just kind of put the gloves on there and just teach and empower women. So I kind of took a leap of faith, and I went to try out for an amateur team, and I did really well. And at that point, I didn't know what to do. I came to Vegas and I tried out for a team, and I made a team, and everything kind of changed. And I was like, so do I pursue my dream, that the path of least resistance, which should have been the path of most resistance, or do I go back home in Canada and just teach? So I kind of took that leap, and I came to Vegas, and I stayed out here for a couple months to learn MMA training and to spar with the girls, because there's not a lot of girls in Canada that spar together. So I did that, and I ended up having my first amateur MMA fight when I did that, and I had it with Tough Enough. And it was a great fight. It's on YouTube, and it was crazy. Yeah. And normally when I did the nationals, I fought at 125, and the only way they gave me this fight was if I cut down to 115. And I was like, I'll do it. I wanted a fight. I came here to train and find a fight, and I found a fight, and that was what I wanted to do, and I manifested that because that's what I wanted to do, and that was on my mind, and I made it happen, and I lost the weight, and I was this little skinny girl at 115, but I did really well. I ended up meeting so many great people, and just Tough Enough is a great association. A lot of big names came from Tough Enough, so to have my first amateur fight out in Vegas was just, it was like a dream come true. Yeah. But then after that fight, it was hard for me to find fights. It's been since. I've only had that one fight, and I had some amazing hands, and maybe it scared a lot of the strawweight amateurs, but yeah, I haven't been able to find another MMA fight yet.
Okay, all right. And so would you say that you're comfortable fighting at 115?
Yeah, no, at 115, I have the height, I have the reach. Mm-hmm. Right now, to get to 115 as an amateur and doing it consistently, it's hard because you have to dedicate yourself to your diet, your training, and right now, like I'm doing my full-time job as well out in Canada, and I'm teaching again.
You're still teaching?
Yeah,
okay.
I started teaching again at a new place called KLF, Kick Life Forward, and I started teaching there. So it was hard. It was hard doing the dieting, and but I like fighting at 115 right now because there is no 125 division really happening. I'll do the cut for 115. I'm comfortable with it, and I'm really big at 115, so I like it.
Yeah, I think you definitely had a huge height advantage in your fight last Friday, so that was pretty intense. What's your let's say in a Muay Thai fight, just because that's the one that I got to see you in
Yeah.
last Friday, what's your favorite like strike?
Well, what I'm known for in training and my fights, and what I use the most is I would say my right hand. I call it my J bomb. Call it my J bomb. It's my bread and butter. I'll throw it like it's going out of style, and I love it. I love throwing my right hand. I feel strong with it. But if anything, right now I've worked a lot with my jab as well. So my hands, I feel very comfortable with my hands.
So striking's a really comfortable thing for you?
Yeah, if anything, I would say I'm more of a dynamic striker. Like, I like using angles, I like using my footwork. What I got a lot from feedback from this fight, it was my footwork. And yeah, I like being fast and using angles, because you don't see it a lot, especially with, not women, but in the amateurs, you don't see enough people working their footwork, and I find it's very underrated, but it will give you an advantage because you're staying out from taking any damage. So
that's great. It's a good strategy. Who would you say is your biggest fighting inspiration, either in fighting or in life? Like, who's a big inspiration for you?
So I would say like two people for inspiration. Like the last week, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago? Holly Holm. Holly Holm is.
Oh, that was a
you know what?
crazy fight.
I'm a big fan of Ronda for getting women on the map for women's MMA. But Holly Holm, after that fight, like it was awesome, because I've always been the underdog when it comes to this industry with fighting and MMA, because I started it later in my life. It wasn't something. I didn't do karate when I was a little kid. I didn't do like taekwondo as a little kid. I started it when I was in my 20s. Like, did it for weight loss. So everyone who didn't do that, like they did it when they were little kids, they always have an advantage on me. So they have years of experience. So with me, my work ethic is what set me apart, if anything. I'm very disciplined. And Holly Holm she's an inspiration, because she shows that hard work, and everybody didn't expect her to win. She was the underdog. She was expected to lose, and like it shows that not the little guy, because she's a world champ, but somebody who's unexpected can win, can change everything.
Yeah, totally change everything.
I
was in shock.
Like, I think the whole world knew that Holly Holm changed everything, and I like that, because it's like I like people that can make movements and prove people wrong, and so that inspires me, because if anything, I feel like I'm somebody that's been going through adversity and trying to prove people wrong as well, and I work hard for it. And most of the time people think you don't, because they don't see everything you do, but yeah, no, she's an inspiration. And obviously another inspiration is my mother. Like, my mother has always been a hard worker, and I've been around women that work hard, so I would say my mom.
Okay, awesome. What do you think it means to you to actually be a fighter? What does that mean to you?
What it means to me to be a fighter is, it's something that we all have inside of us. Like, we all are fighters. Like, I don't think if you fight MMA, it makes you different from any other person. I feel like we all are fighting some type of battle, whether it's family, whether it's work, whether it's career. We all are fighting something. So to be a fighter, it's to be living. Like, I feel like it's to be proving life wrong, and working towards something, and not giving up on your goals, and setting yourself straight with life. And I feel like we all have like a fighter in us, and for me, I just think it's believing in yourself. I believe that being a fighter means that you're standing up for what you believe in.
Great. That's a very inspirational way to look at it. Do you think that there are any distinctions in being a woman fighter to you?
Well, I find what makes me different, if anything, with being a woman fighter is, a lot of the times people think if you're an MMA fighter, or if you're a woman in MMA, that you're tough and you have this persona, and you're just like a tough girl, and you can beat up everyone. And I don't think that makes you a fighter. Like, I feel like it's just having that determination. And I feel like being a woman in the sport, a lot of the times they act like they have something to prove. And I think, yeah, of course, women, we don't have as many opportunities as men when it came to the sport, because it is still growing. But I feel like we've already gotten to that point where you can be yourself. We don't have to be so tough to be a woman fighter. I feel like you can be yourself now, and that's what I want to prove different, is because when I first started, yeah, you always want to be tough and make sure you're tough, because you're going in these gyms and you're a girl, and you don't want to show that you're soft, and you don't want to show that, like, you know, you're a girl. But at the end of it, it's like, I feel I've been surrounded by strong women, and I feel like women are really strong, and we have to try not to be masculine or try to act tough to show that we're strong.
Yeah, it's almost more empowering to just have the freedom to be yourself.
Yeah, completely.
That's awesome. What do you think separates you from the other fighters in your division?
What separates me from the other fighters in this division is I'm not afraid of being myself. Like, I've always been a black sheep when it comes to a lot of everything. Like, growing up in high school, I'm not a sporty chick. I played clarinet. I'm very artsy. I like painting, and I'm very I'm not a loner by nature, but I'm very, I like being myself, and I've walked the beat of my own drum kind of thing. And a lot of the times you always try to fit in, especially when you come to new gyms and you try to do new things. You want to be this, you want to fit in. And what makes me different is I try to always have respect with everybody that I work with, because for me it is a job, right? So I always have respect for everybody I worked with, but at the same time, what makes me different is I'm not afraid of being myself. I'm not afraid of telling the world that even though I'm fighting and it is a hard road, I'm happy that I'm doing it, because it's something that I chose. It's not something that was just pushed on me and saying you have to fight. Like, it's something that I choose every day, and as much as it is hard and it's a hard sport, I want to show that I enjoy it. I'm happy to do it, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to do it. And you can only do it for so long, so I'm glad to have this opportunity to fight, and just, if anything, empower and inspire people around me to just kind of follow their dreams, even if it's later in their lives. Like, you can do it. It doesn't matter how old you are.
That's cool. Yeah, that kind of goes into my next question, and we kind of talked about this a little bit before. It seemed like the other night, before your fight, you had a lot of energy, some pretty high intensity. And is that normal for you before a fight? And then if it is, like, what's going through your head before a fight, before you step out into the octagon or the ring?
Yeah, so I haven't fought in a year, and you always kind of, as a fighter, you kind of find your routine of what you do. And so that night, I kind of wanted to go back to like when I did that Muay Thai tournament, and it was my first fight, and I was prepared, and I just wanted to have fun with it. And so I did everything that I would do on a normal basis. I did, like, I pretended like I was still in my gym, and I skipped. I found a little area to skip, and I just tried to be light and be calm, because when it comes to the fight, you want to be yourself, and I didn't want to get, my zone is living. Like, I find being present in the moment is my zone. I don't have to try to put on a facade or try to be tough or try to, like, egg myself on to get in there. When I fight, it comes from my heart, and it's present. It's like, so if I have to kind of get into a zone to get there, I feel like it wouldn't flow. So for me, I just wanted to be happy, and every day I'm happy, and so I needed to be calm.
Yeah, it seems like you have a really positive attitude, and that seems like, my question was, is that part of your strategy going into a fight? But it seems like that's just you.
Yeah, you know what, the last two fights that I had before this, I lost them by decision, and I feel like my approach was completely different. I was kind of going through adversity, and I was just kind of like always just, like, I felt like everything was against me, and with this one I was happy for it. You know, I finally had the opportunity to fight again, and I tried to just keep it positive. And even though they messed up my gym name and they didn't have my Canadian flag, and, you know, like, all those things didn't even matter, because I was just happy to, like, perform. Like, I was happy to be there, and being positive helped me a lot, because it kept me calm.
Yeah, that was really evident in your whole attitude. So looking at things from the outside, I personally have always wondered, like, what is it that makes people, like, get into the ring? Like, when you think about actually getting punched in the face, like, for a living, you know, like, what is it that makes you want to do that?
You know what? A lot of people, they ask me that question a lot because it's like, do you enjoy getting punched in the face? I grew up with my brother, and for me, when I think of the fighting, my perception of it is I have to think of it as play. I can't think of it as I'm going to get punched in the face. I think of it as, if I'm going to get punched in the face, I want to get my brother back. I want to get him back worse. And so yeah, you'll see it in my face when I fight. It gets intense because it's like, okay, you caught me with something, but I'm going to catch you even worse. And if it might be a little bit of ego, and I guess fighting you have to have a little bit of an ego. And but yeah, for me it's more of a play of like tag kind of thing. And if I could tag you more, I win. So
kind of that competitive spirit.
I'm very competitive, and that's how what makes it work for me is even with sparring, even with training, it's more of that competitive funness. Like if you take it too seriously where you're trying to hurt someone, like you're obviously in the wrong sport. Like it's not a sport anymore if you're just trying to hurt someone. And you know what, I'm very proud to say it's a privilege to fight, so it's a sport. So you have to find a way to make a sport a play. So for me, it's finding the play and fun for it. So
that's
it gets intense, but
yeah, that's very interesting. Do you have like a dream fight with a specific opponent or a certain venue that you'd love to fight at?
A dream fight. I think a dream fight obviously would be in the MGM Grand, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to, like, especially I've already fought in Vegas, but I would love to fight in like a huge MGM Grand. And I would love to fight the world champ. I would love to fight for a title. So that would be, so who has a title at that time, I would love to fight him. So.
All right. And you kind of covered this a little bit before, but what's the fighting scene like in Canada? I mean, you said there's not a lot going on right now.
You know what? The fight scene in Canada, we have some of the best fighters. Even people that just take the classes. I feel like some of them are like, they're better than some fighters in the States. I'm kidding. But no, Canada has some of the best strikers out there, in my opinion. But the biggest thing is we don't have enough support. And a lot of the times people's perception for fighting is really small in comparison to the States, because the States, when I came here, I got a lot of support, because if you have work ethic and you're good, you will get the support. In Canada, if you have work ethic, you have to support yourself and you have to keep grinding, and we don't have enough, if anything, outlets for us to show our skills. So not enough people that are great aren't getting the exposure they need.
So they're having to travel a lot to promotions here to get fights.
Exactly. They're having to travel a lot, and then a lot of the times these amateur fighters, they don't have the money to spend. Like if they're doing it day on, and they have full-time jobs, they don't have the money to spend. And if you're a no-name, nobody's going to support a no-name, and
kind of a vicious cycle.
It is completely. So it's kind of like this endless struggle, and at the end of it, your perception is so small, and you don't think that you don't believe in yourself. And yeah,
that's tough.
It's a
tough.
hard
road.
It really is.
Do you have any plans to go pro in the future?
Yes.
Is that something you want to do?
Yes, I want to go pro soon. I really do. Right now, I'm working with Fresh Start MMA with Jay. And so they're doing my management right now, and we're trying to find the best time to go pro. But I want to go pro soon, especially with the girls division. I feel like my striking is very high up there already. I feel like it's going to happen soon. I feel it, and I'm very confident with my striking. And honestly, like the only way you can see how far, if you're ready, is just going. And my endurance, I can do 5-minute rounds, no problem. I know I can already, so I'm doing everything I have to, and I think I'm ready for it. So it's gonna happen soon.
Yeah, very cool. As a fighter, are there a lot of things that you can be remembered for? And when it's all said and done, what do you kind of want your legacy as a fighter to be?
For me, yeah, the biggest thing for fighting for me was, it's not even for the money, like, not saying that there's no money in MMA, but for me, fighting was just something I just felt privileged to do. And what I want to be known for is just a little guy, you know, like the tiny Tom tank engine that could kind of thing. Somebody that just decided one day to follow their dreams and follow something that they believed in and that they felt was calling them. Like, fighting kind of came to me in a spiritual way, if anything. And it's something that I chose 3 years ago, and it's something that even through adversity and even through being kind of like not taken seriously, I still feel like it's part of my path. And it's more towards empowering the people around me to kind of follow their dreams and their passions, whether it be in fighting or whether it be in sports. It doesn't have to be any of those things, but I want to empower people to just do it, you know, like do what feels right and feels good for them, and to kind of follow their instincts. So it's I want to be known for that.
Yeah, that's great. And so my next question was, do you have any fights coming up?
Well, in Canada, there was some fights happening called, I think, Ace Fighting Series. So they're trying to find a fight for me for next week, but we'll see. So
next week, that's pretty soon.
Week.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to be able to find one. It's been hard. It's been hard to find me a fight. So if I have to go pro to get a fight, I will. Hopefully, this last fight, I got enough footage to show that I could hang in there and be very, very. Just be a force to be reckoned with. So hopefully I can get on some promotions and fight pro soon. So
yeah, that'll be exciting to see. Do you have any projects or events outside of the ring coming up? Anything that you are doing?
I teach at this gym. It's called KLF. So what I do there, it's more towards weight loss. It's more towards changing your life. It's called KLF, but it's an acronym for Kick Life Forward. So I work there, and I honestly just try to always be involved in the community, and I just try to just get involved in anything that kind of works towards this field as well, and just empowering people. But nothing set. Okay. I also try to dip into film and television once in a while, do some stunt work. It's kind of like sparring, but you can't hit people. So I try to just kind of be open to anything in this field, because I find with the MMA, it's definitely opened a lot of opportunities for me to help people. So if I can take an opportunity to help people or to be a part of the community, I'll take it anytime.
Very cool. What's something that most people don't know about you?
Something people don't know about me. Well, I said one earlier. I played clarinet. I paint on my free time. I love painting. It's actually one of my biggest passions. What else? I don't know.
No, that's great.
No, yeah, I paint. A lot of people don't know that I paint, and one thing that I wanted to start doing with my paintings is I wanted to kind of start a foundation and sell the paintings, but to have the proceeds go towards a foundation. So that's something I'm working on. I haven't told anyone, so get this first place. But yeah, that's something that I'm working towards. It's just because I've always been somebody who loved the arts. So but you don't see enough people. You always hear about the starving artists, right? So.
And the starving fighters.
Exactly, the starving artists and starving fighters. So they work hand in hand. I've been starving. So I want to kind of have a foundation for the arts.
Okay.
So.
That's awesome. And then this is kind of like a speed round. So I'm just this is your favorites. So when I say one, just pop it out there.
Okay.
Okay, so favorite movie?
Nacho Libre.
Favorite band?
Blink-182.
Favorite book?
Catcher in the Rye.
Your favorite post-weigh-in meal?
Pho.
And your favorite spot in the world?
Centennial Hill.
Okay. All right. So I think that pretty much closes up my questions for you. Thank you for meeting me, and it's been
so much.
Great to get to know you, and I really hope that we'll hear a lot more from you. I think we will.
You.
So
Awesome.
thanks.